What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt Freitz, and today we're going to talk about community. As many of you know, this is not my full-time job. As a matter of fact, I have a job that I do 40 hours a week, 80 hours every 2 weeks, and it's something that I have done for nearly the last 20 years. One of the things that's been happening ever since I started this channel, started doing podcasting, and just sort of gotten into sneakers in general, is I've found people along the way who want to talk with me about this thing that we love called sneakers. As a matter of fact, the other day, a coworker of mine stopped me because I had the AirTech Challenge 2 Tart colorway on. Go check that video out if you haven't yet. And she stopped me and said, "I've been noticing for a while that you wear the nicest shoes." And I want to shout out that coworker now because it's very rare that this happens, but it's always nice. We talked for probably a good half an hour about shoes, about the things that we like, the things that we don't like, and honestly just started swapping stories about what being in the sneaker community is like. And as I was talking with her, as I was thinking about my journey through all of this, I realized that one of the best things about being in this content space is all the people that I have met. Not just the people that I've met though. It's all about what makes all of you who you are in this game. And when I say that, I mean that there are people from all walks of life. It's not just race, it's not just socioeconomic background, but it's the way that you've experienced this culture. And that comes down to when you got into the game, how long you've been in the game, how you've adapted, how you've evolved with this sneaker game. So many things have changed over the years that make people feel a way about the way things used to be. Today, it's a lot easier. We don't have to go outside. We don't have to put in as much work. We don't have to make relationships. And in some way, that is to the detriment of the culture as a whole. One of the reasons that I started Fire Footwear in the first place, started doing any of this, was because I wanted to share stories. I wanted to hear stories. I wanted to focus on the history that got us here. Focus on the people, the individuals, the faces, the personalities that all have contributed over the decades to what we know now as sneaker culture. There have been so many people. And while there have been people that have been famous, celebrities, there are a lot of people like you and me who have added so much to the culture, enriched this culture in so many ways. And I think that how we have lived the culture, the unique ways that we have experienced it, actually all make it worthwhile. We shouldn't all really experience the culture in the same way. If you think about it, if we all did, how would we be unique? How would that be fascinating? To me, it's amazing when you hear the stories that people have. You listen to Greg on the Sneak Disc podcast talk about all the stories from their youth of going into the back door of a mall, having somebody that could get them in there, fights at releases. That stuff seems silly now in 2026. It seems silly now at age 43. But over the course of time, over the course of decades, that's just what happened. It's what people experienced. Even today, if you're getting into the culture in a late window, you're experiencing things that people didn't experience prior to. All of these experiences that you are having are yours. They're unique. Whether you've just scrolled through a phone to get a shoe, whether you've gone to your local Foot Locker, whether you've made connections with people in your community, in your towns, in your cities, and you have lived the culture with them. To me, that is the absolute coolest part of the culture. As I sit down at this desk, the last 2 times we talked about Costco dunks, we talked about Jerry Lorenzo. But deep embedded in that is the culture. It is the community. And the community is very, very important. Sneakers is not what it is because it's just one-sided. Sneakers is not what it is because everybody is the same or everybody has experienced the culture in the same way. Sneakers is the way that it is because each of us brings a unique element to it. Whether you live in Los Angeles, New York, or the middle of nowhere, Montana, if you like sneakers, you like it for your own reasons. We always talk about on podcasts and YouTube channels about the origin story, what got you into sneakers in the first place. And while I think that is important, and while I think it is unique to every individual, the origin story is just part of the story. It's all the stories in between then. All the ridiculous things that you've done, all the ridiculous things that you've seen, whether it's on social media, whether it's in person, all of that is your sneaker story. And I feel like we need to be honing in on those more. We need to be focusing on what people have gone through, what people have experienced. and how those experiences have made them better people within this culture. One thing that I don't see enough of is lifting up of other folks. Sure, we do it in the content community, and I think that comes down to content creators in any space, no matter what genre. You're almost like a fraternity of sorts. But in this community where you see small creators, you see business owners, you see anybody trying to make their mark in this community, the reason that they're trying to make this mark is because of all of those experiences that they've had up until that moment. For me, I got into the game heavy way later in life, but I was ready to get into it because I had money, I had the knowledge of what I knew I wanted, and I knew I could go into it in a healthy way. And even with all of that, my experience has been atypical. My experience has led me down roads that many people see as taboo, but I've come around on the other side and realized how I want to live this culture. And as I was talking to this coworker, I realized that she and I had really not lived the culture in the same way. That maybe we didn't have the same viewpoints on shoes, maybe we didn't have the same viewpoints on how we got here or how things need to move forward. But the idea is that in that 30 minutes, we connected. We connected about this one commodity, this piece of leather stitched together, rubber, all these materials that in the end are really nothing themselves without the stories, without the people. And I really thought about that. I really thought about this culture. I thought about what it meant to me to be in this culture, to be a part of sneakers, to be connected with people. And I thought about all the people over the years who have contacted me, connected with me, whether it's through audio, whether it's through YouTube, whether it's through social media, it doesn't really matter. The connections in many ways have become more than sneakers. I can list to you a bunch of people who contacted me because of the content, but we talk about anything but now. Now we talk about life. We check in with each other. That's what we should be doing. We should be building a community, continuing to build it, lift up those in the community. And in the end, sneakers will always be there. They'll be there in some form or fashion. They will evolve in some way, but the people will change. And as we change, as we get older, as people come up underneath us, what we need to continue to do is make those connections downward and connect everybody. We don't all have to be the same. We don't all have to like everything. We don't all have to live the culture exactly the same. We should all do it in a way that works for us. And what we should also do is tell our story, our experiences to others, and so that they can understand that this culture is really for anybody who wants to participate, and that your participation, your memories, will continue to enrich it for generations down the line. I hope this finds everybody well. I hope this finds everybody safe, and I'll see you in the next one.